Sure, my red line. All right. Good evening, Yolanda and others. This is week 4 of 10.
Good
Um,
evening.
how are you?
I am good, thanking yourself.
I'm very good, thank you. So let's kind of look at what our um, weekly schedule is. All right, we're in week 4. Week 5 is next week, week 6. And then, so we have 2 more weeks and then we have a break for the 4th of July holiday. So we're at week 4, effective leadership, collaborative behavior, situational leadership, and readiness. That's where we are. So tonight, what I want to talk about first, I've kind of got these in reverse order here. I want to talk about effective leadership. Now, you've been reading in Hershey and Blanchard all the theoretical things about situational leadership. I don't know how I did, but somehow a couple years ago I came across this. This is a bachelor's thesis um, of a foreign student, but it is wonderful in terms of um, it is a practical application of situational leadership. This is Hershey and Blanchard, but this is how to implement it, how it works in real life, effective leadership at the workplace. It has very much, and it has a situational leadership questionnaire, has some case studies for potential leaders. This would be something that you would take as a potential leader. Has some case studies and but it's a practical. Every week when I come on, my job is to tell you how it works in real life. This is how situational leadership works in real life. I couldn't have written anything this good in terms of telling you how to go about implementing situational leadership. Um, this young lady has done an excellent job of that. And how to apply it, the implementation steps. I mean, this is a step by step of what you should be able to do as a leader. So, if you've read Hershey and Blanchard and you see all these things and in your mind, you have kind of coalesced and now understand the theoretical underpinning of situational leadership, you need to read this article now that tells you exactly how it works in the real world. And there's a quiz in there that's a good quiz for you to take. Got some case studies. No, I'm not talking about spending the day with it. This is a 15 to 30-minute kind of thing. But this will really help solidify your understanding in terms of your role as an executive leader and how to go about applying situational leadership. I won't read it all to you and go through that. But it's an excellent opportunity for you to get to do a little self-assessment on situational leadership, to look at some little scenarios, and for you to see how it's applied in real life. All right, let me get out of that one. Now, I also have a link to a job readiness in examining your employability skills. I also have that. I also have a readiness quiz here. The reason I have these is what I want to talk, my main focus tonight is leading young people, I guess, is my main focus. And the reason why I say that is this. The nature of our business is such that in North Carolina, at 20 years, teachers' salaries are going to be, are pretty much, they're frozen until 30 years, which is only going to encourage more and more turnover. Folks are not going to stay with us for that 20 to 30 years and not make, so they'll retire, take a little pension, and go on and do something else. So my point is, we're going to be getting more and more new people into the business. Baby boomers are retiring out. They're all hitting right around 60 years old this year. And so even if they stayed on past their 30 years, you're going to see a lot of turnover in the next few years in the business, and you're going to be working with young people, millennials who are just coming out of college. I like young people. They bring a lot of energy to the organization and a lot of optimism, passion sometimes. But their success many times is not dependent upon their content knowledge. Let me say that again. Their success is not dependent upon their content knowledge. Their success is on their job readiness skills. Uh, that's more process than content. And so let's look at so when you're out looking for people, I mean, if you have them get up and do a lesson plan for you and all those kinds of things, that's wonderful, hiring young teachers. If you got the time for that, I would personally be more concerned with getting the right people on the bus, and then I'll get them in the right seats and help them grow into being teachers. I want people who have job readiness skills to young people. And here are some of the things that I'm talking about. The importance of a positive attitude, the meaning of job success, doing your job well, being a part of a team, enjoying your work, thinking positively. These are qualities or traits you're looking for to see if these young folks are ready to have a job. Consequences of being late, missing work, or calling in sick is an excuse. I mean, my biggest problem when I was a high school principal in Charlotte was the Monday, Friday flu. I had all these young people that didn't show up on Friday or Monday. They worked a 3-day week. Or they showed up in the same clothes they had on the day before with bar stamps on their hand. Came, middle of the morning kind of thing. We were early start high school. We start the same time every day. The building's in the same place every day. You know how long it takes to get here. You know the traffic from where you live. It doesn't matter. Just like today, I had to go to Clover, South Carolina this morning and see one of my interns, Shannon Simmons. Love to go see Shannon. We have a great time. The GPS says it takes 45 minutes for me to drive to see Shannon. I left 2 hours early this morning and got there 15 minutes early because of traffic, Charlotte traffic. I have to negotiate Charlotte traffic to get to Clover, which is on the other side of Charlotte. Now, there's no need to complain. There's no need to say, well, it ought not take but 45 minutes, GPS. No. Professionals understand that you have to do that. But young people, I can't tell you the number of times that I hired young people who to work in Charlotte who complain, well, I'm late because of the traffic. Well, the traffic's the same every day. That's a sign of immaturity that you can't plan ahead enough. It might be 45 minutes, but that's in the middle of the night. In the morning, during rush hour, it's an hour and a half. You need to leave an hour and a half early. I mean, I've actually had to explain that to young people. That GPS doesn't factor traffic in the morning or that route. You need to do that. That's your part. That's part of being, job ready and being an adult. Those are the kinds of things that you're looking for in these young people. So tonight is about what soft skills do they have? Not their hard skills, not they know math, they know science, they know chemistry, whatever you're hiring them for, or elementary ed. But what soft skills do they have that will, 95% of their success will be based on those soft skills. And that's what you're looking for. Your job is to make them great teachers once you get them, but you can only mold them if you have the clay to work with. If they're going to show up on time, be sober, have a bath and clean clothes kind of thing. Keeping your employer informed at all time, meeting and exceeding your employer's expectations, keeping your mind on the job, avoiding non-work talk, dealing with personal business at work, and focusing on safety and efficiency at work. One of the problems that I'm seeing more and more of now is we've moved to this what I call off the books economy. We have a lot of people who are working second jobs, but they want to bring that to their first job. They're doing marketing, or they're selling Avon or something like that. They're doing multi-level marketing. They want to bring that down. That's a job readiness issue. You need to understand that this is a profession, and you're trying to find young people who understand all these things. Trying to show initiative in work situations, always trying to improve knowledge and skills, setting reasonable goals and working, following procedures, standard practices, asking for help, direction, instruction, accepting advice and criticism. This one right here is one that I think is most important, being an operations person, that young people don't seem to have a concept of, is following procedures and standard practices. Everybody wants to do things that are fun and new and unique and creative and all that business. 90% of the school business is just follow directions. 90% of it. You as potential principals here, 95% of your job is just follow the directions. Don't step out there. Teachers, 90% of their job is just follow the directions. It makes things a lot easier. Follow the procedures. Be safe. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about, you've got to. There is no discretion on whether you have a fire drill every month or every 2 weeks you do a safety inspection in your building. You can't get creative. You've got to follow the procedures. Teachers are the same way. Young people, it's very hard to get them to understand. We got to be here on time. When the fire alarm goes off, you got to take your grade book with you so we'll know whether your kids are all there or not. Those kinds of things. You got to follow the procedures. Young people have not been trained that way. They've been allowed to be more creative and more open and free and those kinds of things, and many of them. And you have to kind of get them to take to the yoke and get strapped in and follow directions and follow procedures. But that's a big one, trying to find young people who understand it. There's a time to be creative, but you have to know when that time is. It's not bringing your roll book to the fire drill. That's not being creative. That's just being dumb and unsafe. Being willing to do extra, being ready to step up and help when needed, knowing how to balance your own and others' needs, staying calm, controlling your emotions, making constructive suggestions, learning, practicing, and using good communication, looking after yourself, being ready for work, sleep, and exercise, avoid abuse of alcohol and drugs, managing. This is, again, number 8, looking after yourself. The biggest problems you get in urban areas is all these young people who work in the food service industries, the waitresses, the waiters. They make more money than beginning teachers, and many of them, they get together and they don't have to get up early in the morning. They stay up late at night. They can drink on the job. They pretty much do whatever they want to do. Unfortunately, that kind of spills over into some of your younger employees in the school business who think, they do that, why can't I? School people don't drink on school nights. They get in bed early. I mean, to become a school person is a lifestyle in itself. And my point is, even in urban areas, we still can't get away from, there's expectations of school teachers. Now, out in more rural areas where everybody knows you, that you can't do that. But even in urban areas, you can't do that. You think, well, I'm anonymous here, nobody knows me. Yes, they do. If you're a school person, there is an expectation of your behavior outside of your job. Honesty, respecting employers' time and property, importance of completing work tasks, being honest with yourself and others, and then successful service skills. Here are the soft skills that our young people need in those, and we need ourselves. Service equals success. Service essentials: doing more than expected, be prepared, handling difficult situations, effective communication, dealing with customers, professionalism, satisfying the customer's need, key points of good service. So the point in bringing you this tonight is these are the soft skills that you, as an effective leader, we talked about using Hershey and Blanchard. Hershey and Blanchard is why and how you should adjust yourself for the maturity of your follower. This is what that maturity means. It's not about content. Let me say that again. When we talk about job maturity and how much structure you should give them, it's not about content. It's about these kinds of things. It's about maturity, their ability, to do the job, and the soft skills that comes with that. And so you got to put these two things together. When Hershey and Blanchard talk about situational leadership and how much support and task and relationship behaviors that young people need, and how much supervision, this is the maturity that they're talking about. Not can they do calculus as opposed to algebra. their soft skills, developing those soft skills, developing them into good workers. These are the kinds of things that you need to be interested in. When we talk about situational leadership, these are those maturity, those job readiness issues. All right, now, this is an actual quiz. Wouldn't hurt you to take it, but this is something that your district may have, but this is more of a thing once you get a young person and they're on your staff and you've got a work day. This is the kind of thing you might want to do with them, where they take this self-assessment, this quiz, and and then you could sit down with them and that this is how you introduce. I need you to be an adult now. That's a difficult conversation to initiate. I've had to do it too many times. I know. That's a difficult conversation to initiate. People think because they graduated from college and they're living in their, out on their own for the first time that they're really an adult. Well, okay, but it's a difficult conversation to initiate. This is a really good way to do it. You give your young people that you just hired this, you're going to hire them in, July and August, and they're going to come in during those first work days. And since they don't have any annual leave days, they're going to be there those work days before the required ones start. This would be a good thing to do with them during those early work days when the veteran teachers aren't there and you're just there with the new ones. This would be an excellent activity for you to go over with your young people. Now they're already employed, but these are things that they should do, and then to sit and do and go over it with them. The results right here are tells you what the answers are, and it tells you where they know where they are, and you can kind of get them on a road, a personal journey to becoming a more mature employee that needs less direction and less supervision, and can become more effective and more satisfied in their work because they have more self-determination, self-direction, more creativity because they are now a fully fledged adult. And so the idea here is if I were you, if you don't like this one, but I would find one like this. I highly recommend that when you become assistant principal, or especially when you become principal and you've got new teachers in your building, that you give them something like this during the initial work days to try to get them to understand what you're the incidental learning that occurs is when they take this, they now understand what you're looking for, what you prize, what you want. And you get an idea of where they are and how much supervision they're going to need in Hershey and Blanchard's model of task and relationship behaviors. You get an idea of how mature they are. Some young people are ready to go. I was referring to one today. I hired a young lady. She was as good a teacher as I've ever had. She was ready to go first day. She's the only one I ever had that way. But she'll be superintendent soon. She's already moved up. Of course, I hired her 25 years ago, but she'll soon be superintendent. She's nearly there now. She was great day one. She's the only one I ever hired, and I hired hundreds, and she's the only one I ever hired that was great day one. Unfortunately, I had more that that couldn't find the building on day one or couldn't find it on time. And that's what this is about. These are about soft skills. Here's a nice quiz that I would do with beginning teachers. This is something that you might talk your principal into doing as an AP, to get a roadmap. This might be something that would be valuable, even as an assistant principal, would be a valuable help to your principal. And so, now this job readiness skills outline here again, these are the things that you're looking for. Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody have any questions on situational leadership, effective leadership. Again, there's that excellent document tonight that young lady put together for her bachelor's thesis on how to implement situational leadership. Situational leadership and readiness. Readiness is readiness is what we refer to as job maturity or readiness, and we went over that tonight. What it is. I read you those things. This is what it is, and then I showed you this quiz and recommended to you that I would use that with beginning teachers to get a notion of where they are, so we set a plan of how much supervision they're going to need. So that's tonight. Those are some good documents to have. And so those are the three things that I have for you tonight that are very practical in nature. Let me get back there. There we are. All right, so those are the things that I have for you tonight. Now, all right, questions about deadlines, evidence, artifacts, work, evaluations, task stream, questions about any of those things. July 3rd is quickly approaching. Let me remind you again on my course overview page, if you have forgotten, I have right here in blue, I have all of your dates. July 3rd, everything's got to be submitted, and then anything that had to be revised has got to be back in and done by July 27th. July 23rd, everything is done, including site supervisor dispositions. I was on the phone today. We got Christie's site supervisor dispositions and site supervisor competency done today down in Garner. If you haven't gotten that done, and double check with your principal and see why, and if they need a username and password, don't hesitate to call me or to email me. If Amanda, if you're out there listening, one of our classmates, if you've got good news, let me know. We've got our fingers crossed that maybe we'll get one of our good things is going to happen for one of our folks. And so it's getting to be that season. If you need letters of recommendation, I can write those, or letters of completion. If you're in an interview scenario or process, let me know. I'll be glad to get those for you. I provide those for interns. All right. Any questions for the evening?
No, sir.
Now look at that. I made it. I actually got finished 2 minutes early for my 7:30 deadline. I'll see y'all all next week. Y'all have a good week, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you.